getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Two short weeks ago, we crowned our Season 2 Sim Racers Group F3 champion, and the calendar has turned. A new iRacing season has begun, as well as a new season of the Sim Racers Group F3. Here is round one tonight from the historic Barcelona Catalunya circuit. My name is Charles Beauchelle. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Josh Wilkie and Magic Mike Braun in the production booth, making us sound good and giving you the great the pictures you're going to see tonight. Josh, another season of Sim Racers Group F3, and you know, an iconic circuit. And if you're a fan of the red cars in Formula One, then you're pretty happy to see the circuit all over again, as we just spent the weekend there, and an old familiar face took the top step of the podium, and we've got some old familiar faces here as well, along with some newcomers and maybe some returners as well. So looks like we're in for another great season of the SRG F3 series here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Josh, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks, Charles, and good to be with you guys on this whole season. It'll be my first season, I think, in the booth solely as a commentator. So I can actually just pay attention to only what's on screen, and taking notes and stuff like that. So it should be pretty cool. And you're right, Catalunya here absolutely blew my F1 fantasy team out of the water with that Lewis Hamilton win. So I am never going to be able to win now. But it was good to see him up on that podium, and we're back here at Catalunya today. This is a track where they used to do, I believe, a lot of F1 testing. So if that says anything to me, it says that there's probably a little bit of an element of almost every kind of track you're going to get around here. And that's perhaps why some people struggle, and why maybe not the most exciting track in the world. It can be a little bit bland, but it is actually going to task you with basically everything you're going to need on almost every racetrack. And maybe we'll do a quick one here as we're just going into T1 here. I believe this is with Kalen Mikowitz, who's now leading us here. Not an easy one to spy that. You kind of want to go to the back side of that sleeping policeman there on the inside, and then this long late apex here as well that's just dragged the car to the outside. You can see Kalen fighting that understeer there. You kind of want to let it happen though and drive into it. First kind of braking zone here. Again, you're looking for that late apex. This track all about that sort of sustained turning ability that you have and being able to hit those lines perfectly. Again, sort of aiming for the back of the apex here. He's going to get a little bit of oversteer on that one, sending him wide. Coming into the more difficult technical section now. This one, I think, trips a lot of people up. You want to take a lot of curb here. Let the car go a little straighter than maybe you think it actually should, and eat a little bit more track than it should. My favorite spot right here, one of my favorite corners on any track. I get that one right all the time, but again, really difficult one to spy. You're kind of aiming for that sleeping policeman again, sort of the back side of it. And then we're going to take, actually, part of this course I'm not as familiar with is that inside track there. But again, having to kind of stay early inside on the apex on this one, maybe not quite as late. And then we're going to come down into probably the most controversial section of this race course, whether we're going to go down that chicane section there, or we're going to go out wide here into the way more fun layout that we're doing today. And this is going to be probably your best passing opportunity on the track after this long straight here. But that's just a little track guide around Catalunya, where you're axing a lot of the car and having to hit a lot of apexes with, having to be very precise as well as a driver.
Yeah, absolutely. You're exactly right. And we are using that historic layout tonight. You saw we're doing away with that chicane. We're going back to the more fun version. I completely agree.
Definitely
with
more
you.
fun, yeah.
That chicane there at the end is trouble. With the capital T, and so we're going to skip that tonight. We're going to use the old fast layout, and looks like qualifying is over. Kalen Mikowitz with the pole position here as we'll go quickly through into our first heat race, 15 minutes. Kalen Mikowitz on the front row, along with Stephen Case, Terry Crouch in third, Traber Burns in fourth, Skylar Vickroy starting in fifth, Jason Green will start in P6. Alex Velasco starts in seventh. Enrique Vela starting in P8. Tyrone De Silva starts in ninth. And Nathan Perkins starts in P10.
Yeah, and then after that, we have Varun Bali in P11. Adam Duvall will be in P12. In P13, Christopher Wang. In 14th, we have Kenan Miller. In 15th, we have Jose Navas Molina. In 16th, Jason Cotcher. In 17th, we have Michelle Lin. In 18th, Adrian Lopez. 19th, Thomas Brashear. In 20th, Kulker and Dillon. And in 21st, we have Diago Posada. And we're pretty close to a start here. I think we'll have to get into a little bit more of the history of some of these drivers and the backgrounds and kind of our fights this season. But Kalen Mikowitz leading us for the first round, Charles.
Yeah, absolutely, Caleb. Kalen's going to start on the front there, leading us off here as we're going to do a standing start at 15 minutes in our first heat race. There'll be a break and then a 25-minute feature round coming up as we're waiting on the lights to come on and then go off. We can get this race underway. So waiting on a couple of cars, I think, to get on to Jason Green, and there he pops in. I think Thomas Brashear of the other car, not yet on the grid, but in 2 minutes it's going to kick over and we're going to go whether he's out there or not. You see the lights come up on the screen and we'll get our lights countdown, 3, 4, 5, and then we're off to the races. Good start by the front, a little slow there by Skylar Vickroy, I believe in turn 4. No, I'm sorry, that was Traber Burns that fell back just a little bit off the start of the race, but a drag race down the front straight here, and Stephen Case on the inside line, got a good enough run. He's going to hang it to the inside alongside Kalen Mikowitz, and they work their ways through 2 and 3. And then looks like Stephen Case is going to be out to the front. and Mikovits is going to fall in line in second place. Adrian Lopez up 3 positions already here very early at the stop. No real issues, and we're off to the races with a nice green start there, Josh.
Yeah, super clean start here so far. Pretty good get off the line for almost everyone there. Looked fairly even as well, but Stephen Case making that move right away early in the race here to establish the lead for himself from Kalen Mikowitz. So Kalen Mikowitz will be following Stephen Case around this first lap here. And not sure if I'd be too worried about that if I was him at the moment. Maybe attach the back to Case and just hold on to it here until the later hours of the race and try to maybe run away with him from the rest of the likes of Skylar Vickroy and Terry Crouch as well there. Tabor Burns just behind him, but man, this machinery looking so beautiful out there as well. I know they haven't upgraded this car yet with iRacing, but hey, at least that gives us another season to use the old one, right? It's a pretty nice car, and we'll at least get another one. Maybe we'll get an upgrade next season. I'm not sure. I would imagine it's coming pretty soon for this F3 car, but man, the old one looks so good here. Stephen Case leading us around now, the first lap, going to take that first lap in first place. Everybody looking pretty clean so far. You see our timing tower there. Everybody's fairly close together, but nothing too crazy yet.
Nothing too crazy yet. We did have an incident. We'll see if we can get a replay from Mike. Enrique Vela with a meatball flag. We had several other cars drop to the back, and here's going to be Jose Navas as we come around. Excuse me. And there was already a car sideways there, and just a T-bone job there by Navas. Could not see the other car, but it was either Diego Posada, Enrique Vela, maybe Tyrone De Silva or Adam Duvall, as they're all in the either in the pits or on their way back. As we might get another replay here. Oh, there we go. 24 versus 15, and the 15 gets slammed from behind, and that's another incident there. I think that was just maybe a checkup there. Saw the incident come up on his screen, and just nowhere to go. But you see the 35 there of Vela missing the rear wing, and these cars do not drive well without that rear wing attached.
No, they sure don't. You're missing a whole lot of downforce on the rear end when you don't have that, and a lot of power trying to get to the ground. So you're not going to be doing too well there. And yeah, it looks like a bit of chaos in that particular corner there. People kind of tripping over each other a little bit. Still kind of unsure if that was, the original spin there up front was on his own or if he got some help. But either way, did kind of jackknife across the track there, causing some problems for some other people. Just on board now with Skylar Vickroy. Looking like he's got some pace today. Tyler Crouch just behind him. He's actually definitely hounding the back of Mikowitz here. So looking like some maybe not new drivers with pace. They've all had some pace here, but not necessarily seeing Skylar up here in the top 3 positions in previous seasons, where maybe someone like Jason Green might be up here usually. So maybe a little bit of rust to shake off, maybe a little bit of pace found as well from some of these drivers, but storylines beginning to show their heads here as we start round 1. Only about 3 or 4 minutes in now. Still looking on that timing tower there. We do have some red numbers and some yellow numbers, but for the most part, we're fairly spread out around Catalunya. And, I was expecting maybe a little more drafting around here because there is some drafting. But as I said in the run-up, you do have to be pretty precise around here. And there's a lot of corners you kind of have to nail just right. And you can lose so much time on such a big, wide, long track like this if you don't know the line correctly. Or God forbid, you actually lose the draft of the drivers in front of you there. Then you can really be kind of hung out to dry.
Yeah, absolutely. As we mentioned Skylar Vickroy there, I believe took a bit of a break. Was in season 1. I got to cover him a bit during that season, as I did a few of the races, but obviously didn't do a lot of races in season 2. So I know he took a bit of a break, but came back and looks like he's got some good form. Sitting up there in third on Mikovits and Stephen Case. Terry Crouch, I believe, a newcomer to the series. So we've got some new blood up there, and if we look down a little bit further, obviously Kenan Miller jumps out of the booth to jump in the car. So apparently, really
nice.
enjoyed the series. So he said, "I'm going to get out there and have some fun too." So good to see Kenan out there. And then I'm going to throw Michelle in because obviously we know Michelle here at SNB through her other exploits as admin for the Weekend Warrior Formula V series for Ray Esports, and is just a great driver, and also did some real life racing as well. So it's good to see her out there, and I know she'll give it everything she's got even though I think it's kind of late for her. So I think she's got a 10 o'clock start here, being over on the East Coast. So maybe a little bit later than some people out here, because I think that obviously with SRG being located on the West Coast, it's a little bit different as far as the time zones are concerned. And we get on board here with the captain, Jason Cotcher, running in P11. Had a good start, up 5 positions. So managed to avoid a little bit of that carnage there early on. And he's going to run hard. I think he always wants to get up there and try and get in the top 10 to feel like he's had a successful night. But I think looks like from what we're seeing, the skill levels kind of increased a bit here. So Jason's going to have to work hard tonight to get up into that top 10 before it's all said and done here. Josh, as we're about 6 minutes into this race, Case, Mikovits, Vickeroy, your top 3. And starting to, along with Crouch, starting to put a little bit of a gap to P5. So there's 4 cars and then a 2-second gap back to Traber Burns in 5th.
Yeah, starting to gap out a little bit. That gap is growing slowly each lap there between 4th and 5th place there, Traber Burns. So again, that could have something to do with the draft as well. You sort of get into this bit of a draft train here, and you know, like the SRFs that we cover so often, not nearly as much draft, I don't think, in these cars as we're seeing today. It's actually hard to break away in some of the cars on iRacing on a track like this one, but this one's going to be a little more down to that line that you take and so on. And as you're mentioning there, the level of driving skill here definitely going up. And you know, we've been had the pleasure of covering these SRG series F4 and F3 now for multiple seasons, and it's true, watching these drivers get faster, get cleaner, get I wouldn't want to say more respectful, but just learning how to be more respectful, let's say, out on track, and have a little bit more spatial awareness, and as our friend Tom O'Gorman likes to say, embracing the race a little bit, which is a quote I really like there. Just getting into the race and not getting so tight that you feel you have to close the door or stab a nose in somewhere. They're your competitor out there and race them clean. And I think that's what we're seeing out here. You're seeing a lot of new liveries as well here with the Dull Dime logo on the side of Jason Green's always green car, new green this season. Seeing a couple more out there as well. Adrian Lopez looking like he's changed that red to a really nice gold on his car. I think we also saw Keenan Miller with a pretty cool new livery there as well. So keep an eye on those for the audience out there too. We like to see our liveries out here. TW3 paints, Tom went there helping us out at SMB. So if you ever do need a cool paint job, by all means hit us up there on the Discord and we can send you in the right direction. Jason Green looking now though to make up some time here to Traber Burns and maybe, you know, be able to get by him and see if he can't catch up to that lead pack. But it does look like he is going to maybe be able to do something with Traber Burns here in the next couple laps.
Yeah, he's just at the edge there, 8/10 back behind Burns. That the draft starts kind of going away a little bit. So you think you're within that 1 second, which is kind of the general gauge that we like to use for the draft here. But it's very, very faint here. It just is almost not a lot of help at all. I mean, we've seen in recent past here with these F3 cars that we think that they're going to be just draft monsters, and they don't quite do that a lot of the time. So you get a good draft off of it. I would say not the greatest of drafts, but they will close up. And they'll, more than anything, they'll keep you together. Whether or not they make you gain a lot of time does not necessarily the end result, right. But it will keep you in there and keep you close, and that is the goal. And then you just have to start working yourself and just making better corners. As we're still riding up here with this top 4, it's still pretty close together. As now Stephen Case is starting to stretch that gap a little bit, up to 7/10 over Mikovits, Vicroy, and then Crouch. And those 3 cars are pretty much nose to tail. About 2 car lengths difference between those, as they're still just trying to hang on again to the back of Case, who's been known to just kind of stretch a lead out and just kind of go away from the rest of the field. So they're doing a pretty good job at this point. So we're coming up to the 2/3 mark, 10 minutes almost gone in this race, and then we'll get to the final 5. And we'll see if anybody going to be able to make a move, but it looks like that the gaps are just growing a little bit at a time every lap we go.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely some drivers finding some pace out there. Kalen Mikowitz last season definitely finding some pace out there. Stephen Case, as you said, used to pretty much just run away with these races in the beginning and was really class of the field. Well, That has definitely flipped a little bit now, and like you said, he's about 8/10 away. Kalen Michael has been in just that sort of tickle of a draft range this entire race, and that's exactly where you want to be. You know, well, maybe you want to be in front of him, but if it's Stephen Case, you want to be in that draft range. Is, you know, you'll take it at least for race one of the first round of the season here, for sure. But you know, that's an interesting point you bring up as well. Something like an SRF car, if you get into a train with 4 or 5 of them, that whole train actually picks up speed, and you actually end up getting faster lap times. Whereas, you know, I think you're right, Charles, with the Formula, or sorry, with the F3s here, it's more of just a tickle and kind of catching up to the person in front of you. You're not going to be able to cause a giant box of air around everybody and get faster lap times altogether. You know, not only is the car maybe not built that way, but it's just not the nature of the way these things race either, is it?
No, it's really not, and you're exactly right. The spec racer, yeah, they'll just bump draft each other down the straightaways, and they'll gain a half second a lap just working together. Not so much the case here with the Formula 3 cars, as still just Caitlin hanging in there, still 8/10 of a second back. So he's doing his best to hang on as we're on here with the Adrian Lopez in the 007 car, as he's working his way through 2 and 3. As he is starting to close down that gap just a little bit up to Jason Cotcher, 3/10 back. So you can start seeing that gap close ever so slightly as he gets a little bit closer here. And as he starts stacking up behind us, we see Cotcher running a little bit wide there. That's going to give Lopez a look on the outside through turn 5. No such dice there, as Cotcher is going to maintain that spot. But now it's starting to slow those down. As we got a car go by. That was Alex Velasco on the left-hand side. Looked like he just stopped. So did he lose the car and have to catch it? Oh, he did indeed. Yeah, so he's parked the wrong way on the opposite side of the track. Manages to get it flipped around, does a nice little turn there, and keeps it on his side of the track away from the race line, and gets it restarted. Drops him down to P14, unfortunately, so he's got about a second and a half behind Chris Wang to try and make that time up. As we are back with Lopez now, still 4/10 of a second back behind Cotcher, and just once again 3 to 4/10 there, not able to close it any further than that. And looks like that Michelle Lynn, I'm trying to see, she's basically breaking even there, 1.6 back. So they'll have to be careful there. Now Lopez makes the move and gets by Jason Cotcher down the front straight. So he's going to pick up P10, and that's going to drop Cotcher down to 11th. And back up here, we're looking at Terry Crouch starting to close the gap down to Skylar Vickroy, as that gap from Vickroy to Mikovits is starting to open up just a little bit, is 8 to 9/10 there as well. So now the top two starting to stretch it out a little bit, as Vickroy makes it through turn 5 pretty well there, as they run their way down into 6. And this is kind of the tricky section of the track. Got to cut that and just barely nibble on that outside curve there. You don't want to take too much of that. It's just going to slow you down. They did a good job through there, but Crouch now still 3/10 back, and he's got a couple more straightaways to look for. They're going to have the white flag as we come around the next time, as Crouch now closing it down to about a quarter second. So he is on the move here and looking, and so he'll be setting it up. He'll want a good exit out of that final corner, so he can get a good run down the front straight. So as we head down the little short chute here between 13 and 14, we'll get the run out, and we'll see where Crouch is going to go. Is he going to be able to make a move? As I believe we are white flag this time. As he see Vickroy there moving to the right-hand side, trying to go the defensive line, but not going to be enough, I don't think. Are they going to be able to hang it in there and keep it centered level? He is indeed. So they're going to fight through 2. Crouch with the advantage on 2. Vickroy with the advantage on 3, and is going to be able to hang on to that spot just ever so slightly there, as he runs a little wide there. Now Crouch looking to the inside here as we come through 4, and he's going to make that late dive, and it's going to be side by side there, almost touched. Great little battle there between Crouch and Vickroy. Is now Vickroy is going to have the advantage again on the inside of turn 5, and is going to be able to get that spot, and Crouch looking for the over-under, not able to make that move happen.
Yeah, that's probably the raciest part of the track right there. And I think anybody who's raced around Catalunya and had a battle has had that exact same thing happen to them there, where if you have the inside going into T1, it's pretty much your corner and you're going to come out ahead. But as you go into the next one, you're going to lose out. And then you have the inside again through the long sweeper. And that's really where you gain most of the time through there. As long as that driver on the outside of you doesn't hold you down too close to that bottom line, then you're actually going to be able to get a pretty good run out of there, which is exactly what I believe Tyler Vickeroy did there and was able to kind of hold on to it. But pretty fun little piff-paff battle there back and forth through that section. And it's always fun through there. This track actually does, you know, when you get some really good racers that are close to the same speed, this place race is really good. You can make passes around here. It is wide enough to happen. There's draft areas. There's some kind of technical spots, and you can have a lot of fun with it. But that's going to be the end of that one. Stephen Case going to take the win. Kalen Mikowitz second. Skylar Vickeroy third. Terry Crouch fifth. Tabor Burns fifth, and Jason Green sixth. And as we know here with this F3 series, we will be flipping that order, the top six, Charles, for the next one here, as we just watched Thomas Bashir now come across the line.
Yep, so give Jason Green the invert pole for the feature race, as we will invert the top six. But Stevie Case, another heat victory, 0.7 of a second, so a bit closer than I'm actually kind of used to seeing. Kalen Mikovits finishing in second, Vickeroy in third, Crouch fourth, Tabor Burns in fifth, then Jason Green will be in P6 and the pole sitter for the feature race. As we get the rest of the field coming across, Varun Bali finishes in seventh, Kenan Miller eighth, Nathan Perkins in ninth, Adrian Lopez rounds out your top 10, Jason Cotcher in 11th, Michelle Lynn 12th, Chris Wang, Alex Velasco, Thomas Brashear, Colquhoun Dillon, Tyrone De Silva, Jose Navas, Enrique Vela, Diego Posada, and Adam Duvall rounds out your field. As we had obviously an incident that those bottom five just really got sheared off at the end, and you see our Heat 1 results there. As I just kind of went through them, take a look for yourself there. Case, Mikovits, Vickeroy, Crouch, Burns, Green, your top six, which will invert for the feature race. And I think we'll go into, I believe the next thing is a warm-up period. So if I remember correctly, 5-minute warm-up coming up. So you'll see cars out on the track. And so just kind of looking through, and I want to get back to this, Josh, while we've got a few minutes here. I'm going to see if I can get this pulled up as we're sitting here just kind of waiting for the race session to start. So kind of looking down at the season we got laid out for us here. Obviously tonight at Barcelona, first 5 races will be Barcelona, the Red Bull Ring next week, Silverstone, I believe that is Imola coming up on July 9th, Spa, and then the Hungaro Ring as your first 5 rounds here, and a pretty iconic group of Mugello, not Imola. Mugello.
Yeah, just looking now. Yep, it is Mugello, which is a great track. Love Mugello for sure. Another Italian track, right? They're all well, they're not the same at all, no. But Mugello is actually, I believe, is a motocross track or a MotoGP track most of the time. So has a very unique flow to it. I've always really liked, and I think you're right there, Charles. There is a bit of a bunch of crown jewels, let's say, in that beginning of a Silverstone or maybe Spa, Hungaroring, all historic F1 tracks. And I wouldn't say they're the same, but you're going to have to approach them in a very similar way, if that makes any sense at all, where they aren't they're street tracks. They are big, wide power tracks that are going to they're going to reward the person that knows their line and has a really good setup out there and can make it work for them. Even Road America, actually. And then finally, we visit our first street course, our first very claustrophobic street course, I might add in Adelaide, and then Algarve, Zandvoort, another very fast, old school sports car track, very different from something like, almost like a mini Spa in a way. Barber Motorsports, nothing like it on earth. Honestly, that is one of the cooler, most unique tracks out there. And then another Italian track in Monza at the end there that we know T1 is just utter chaos unless you really treat it with a lot of respect. As we've seen this year, 2026 maybe being one of the worst seasons I think I've ever seen at Monza in multiple series IRL. It has been pretty unbelievable, actually. But, just to wrap it up there, really good looking season. I think this is going to be a difficult one just looking at it, these cars. There is a lot of power tracks there, and at least for me, I kind of like the claustrophobic tracks a little more than I like the big power tracks on most days.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, Adelaide's going to be one of those. Obviously, uh, the one of the first chances we're going to get to go there. It is a very very tight racetrack, and as street circuits go, it's Barber, obviously my home track. Love that. Hungaro Ring, it's a more technical track than you kind of give it credit. There are some very tricky sections there.
Love that place.
Mugello, I completely agree. I think that's going to be a fantastic race. One of the best races we
Great
had.
for these cars, yeah.
Yeah, great for these cars. One of the best races I think we had the season that I did this was one of the ones on the list that you mentioned already that we're going back. Zandvoort was the one. It's just a fantastic race. Just a great track. Obviously, the two banked corners, everybody just kind of looks for. And going back to World GT Challenge at Monza just like 3 weeks ago, where you've got a host of professional racing drivers, where the top 4 rows of the grid got taken out in the turn 1 chicane on the start of the race. And it's just like, how do people make that kind of money and make that big of a mistake, right?
It looked like something out of iRacing, an official league rookie race or something like that. It was just chaos. Yeah, it really did. And actually, I thought it was kind of funny. I was scrolling through YouTube the other day, and I went across it. It was a short of that, and iRacing had actually posted in the short saying, "Please stop posting us in this short." Because so many people were posting iRacing there, being like, "Look, it's just like what happens in iRacing," which I thought was pretty humorous. And obviously, they have a great sense of humor about stuff like that. But I don't know if that's going to force a redesign of that first corner. It is probably the worst designed first corner of any racetrack in the world. It is something, again, though, like I always like to say, Charles, and I think you're kind of the same mind, is it's there and you just have to deal with it. So go deal with it properly. And that seems to be a problem for a lot of people.
Yeah, apparently so. So here we go, getting ready for our feature race tonight as Jason Green is your pole sitter here from the inverted grid. Trevor Burns in second, Terry Crouch third, Skylar Vickroy fourth, Kalen Mikovits, we can get his name right every time, in fifth, Stephen Case in sixth, Vroom Bali in seventh, Kenan Miller in eighth, Nathan Perkins in ninth, Adrian Lopez 10th, Jason Cotcher 11th, Michelle Lynn 12th as we scroll the screen, Chris Wang 13th, Alex Velasco 14th, Thomas Brashear, Colquhoun Dillon, Tyrone De Silva, Jose Navas, Enrique Vela, Diego Posada, Adam Duvall, and we are getting lined up here. And so obviously when we talk about this feature race, Josh, we just saw really good racing. Obviously kind of shunned it a little bit from the start. But now we've got an extra 10 minutes on the clock. This track with the medium and high speed turns it has, it's going to play a little bit of havoc on these rear tires, and we've seen that before as we're off to the races here, and we'll talk about that a little more as we get rolling here with a great jump by Jason Green. Gets the whole shot off the start-finish line, and he's got the Terry Crouch just behind him there, sitting in P2. And who's that snuck through there? That's Trevor Burns. Great move on the inside there to sneak up into the second position ahead of Terry Crouch, Skylar Vickroy in fourth, Stephen Case fifth, Kalen Mikovits in P6. And we're going to talk about, as we get a little bit closer to the end here, the last 10 minutes or so, what my buddy JR likes to refer to as the witching hour for these rear tires, as just seemingly these high-speed corners and medium-speed corners just basically chew the rear tires up, and it makes it very, very difficult to handle these cars.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably right around then, isn't it, that you start to sort of feel the tires going off, and then they just kind of get worse and worse and worse from there, I would imagine. But by the time the race is over, they're kind of just starting to get bad. But it is enough, like you said, to throw you some wrenches near that end of the race there. Stephen Case now hunting down Skylar Vickroy here, looking for a way by. He's going to basically throw him a dummy on the inside there, actually almost log it up. Looks like Skylar was actually peeped that one while he was doing it. It actually worked on him a little bit, and got a bit of a mind punt there from Stephen Case behind, something I absolutely love doing. I will throw dummies all day long to the people in front of me because they work so often. So many people are are looking in their rear view and tense up when you get close to them. And if you can kind of just keep yourself calm and cool and collected as we're taking a little bit of liberties there, that's not going to help him on this run. He's going to try to cover that inside exactly what you want to go doing or into T1 here. Almost going to go 3 wide, applying some pressure. They are going to go 3 wide momentarily. I believe that is Traber Burns on the inside. Nope, that is Mikowitz actually forcing himself here on the 2 drivers in the front into a move. And actually, Skylar Vickroy is going to win out on that one from Stephen Case, so he's going to hold on to it for now. Pretty awesome stuff into T1 there. This first section of the course, probably the raciest spot and a real good place to look for a pass for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. As Vickroy still hanging on to P4. We'll say Nathan Perkins has dropped down to the bottom of the field. Contact there between Vickroy and Case as Vickroy is around and has lost the rear wing. Case has spun as well, so they're going to drop to the back. Vickroy is going to have to be very careful here as he rejoins in P18. He's going to be wisely just going to lay off the throttle there a little bit and let these other cars by, because he knows he's not going to have any control of those going through the corners at close to race speed there. So we're going to get a replay here of this incident here, Josh, with Case just looking to the inside and just wheel-to-wheel contact there between himself and Vickroy. Maybe a late attempt at a block. I think we'll let the stewards adjudicate that. But obviously the contact has caused damage and both cars to lose several positions.
Yeah, definitely. I think Skylar, at the very least, they're sensing that pass coming and maybe just not quite doing the right move there, or vice versa. I think actually it was a little bit on both there, where it was a slightly late dive from Stephen Case. Nothing super egregious. Saw a tiny little puff of smoke on his inside tire there, looking like either A, he was not expecting Vickroy to kind of, woe up quite as much there at that exact moment. So I think really that was kind of just 2 drivers meeting in the same piece of track there, looking for a pass, unfortunately. But we'll let the stewards deal with that one. And it looks like we do have a couple more incidents here. So I think that's Adam Duvall on the inside there is going to get into. I'm not sure who that was right there, but Tyrone De Silva actually, and like our producer's saying there, pretty much just drove right through the car there. So unfortunately, he's got no nose and no tail on that one, looking like he's not going to get too much downforce now. We're going to get an onboard here from De Silva. Yeah, it's a Formula V now. You're right. It is. It's missing the nose cone, but it looks a lot more like a V than an F3 car. And that was De Silva. I think I said Duval in the beginning. That was actually De Silva. I will correct myself there. Unfortunate for that one, and almost collected a couple more cars there as well, Charles. But not going to have to go back to the pit with that one there. Missing at least half the car, maybe 48% of the car's gone.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So yeah, that's going to be another stop for Duvall as he's going to have to come back in. Vickroy will have to make a stop as well. I think he's trying to hang on out there, but they've both already been in. It looks like they've got fast repairs enabled tonight, so give them a chance to get back out there and get back on the track. As we see now, Crouch looking to the inside of Traber Burns, as this top 3 have started to separate themselves. So now we're going to see, Mikovits did a good job in the first race of hanging with Case, and those cars managed to kind of sneak away from the rest of the field. So now that we've got Mikovits running in P4 by himself, and we've got Burns and Crouch there in second and third, and they're starting to lose a little bit of time to Jason Green. Is Mikovits going to be able to work his way through, get up there and challenge Green for this victory? Obviously, he had a great pace there at the beginning, obviously on the pole for the heat race. So we'll see if he's going to be able to work his way through, maybe challenge Green for this race win, as we're 5 minutes into this 25-minute race. And we already had a little bit of damage. Skylar Vickroy, Tyrone De Silva, Adam Duvall in the back, or have already pitted for repairs. Stephen Case involved as well. He's running currently 17th, so he's fallen back. Not going to be much of a factor in this race, I don't think, as we're still watching this battle between Burns and Crouch there running in second and third. We run down to Kenan Miller, who's currently running in P8. Right behind Jason Cotcher running in seventh, who Jason, the captain, up 4 positions. So really good start to the race as he's worked his way up. We'll talk about Bali Lopez in front of them, but here is a big battle between Cotcher and Miller. with Alex Velasco sitting just behind them, looking for a chance to capitalize on any mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. Hunting around behind Jason Cotcher here, looking for a way by. T1 being one of the better places to get that done. He's going to look at and actually push Cotcher wide there, but not actually going to commit and get it done, as we do have a car off track there. I think that may have been. Oh, no. In there. I just looked away, and I'm seeing Kean Miller's facing backwards now. I'm hearing net code from our producer, so unfortunate for Kenan on that one. We'll have another quick look here, and he's going to, just after that moment, to push Jason Cotcher a little bit wide there, a bit of a mind punt. And now we're going to go into this right-hander here. Velasco going to look up the inside, and just a massive amount of net code there. That is very unfortunate for Miller on that one. Yeah, that's too bad. Nobody wants to get it taken out of a race like that.
No, absolutely not. And that was Trader Burns that was off in the left side, as we saw on our screen. And there's Coker and Dylan around and into the wall. It was like a, excuse me, a little bit of the curbs. Got a hold of that car, sent it to the right side wall there. As once again I said, Trader Burns down to P9. He I don't think he hit anything, but obviously just took it too far into the braking zone at T1. And got passed by a few cars included with that battle that we've got. And we're going to get a replay here as we're seeing Traver Burns coming around. This is coming around into the turn one. Yeah, contact there. That was him on the outside. And that was contact with Terry Kraus. So that was a battle for P2. And Traber got the worst of that as he tried to hang it on the outside, and I think maybe could not see from that quick replay, but maybe Crouch on the inside. We'll get another replay. We're going to see him on the inside curb. That's kind of what I'm looking to see, if Crouch got on that inside curb there and kicked the car over. No, just got squeezed a little bit. I think maybe that's more than anything is Burns cut that a little sharper than it didn't quite leave car width there on the inside, and there wasn't really much that Burns could have done about that.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Charles. I think he was alongside enough there for long enough into there that he was afforded the room and just wasn't given the room there, unfortunately, and DeSilva going to lose out on that one. That is unfortunate. But yeah, you gotta leave room on the inside like that when somebody's alongside you, especially in these open wheel cars. Nothing ever good will come of pinching down on someone when they are there. You're only going to lock wheels and end up backwards. It just doesn't work. So unfortunately, that one's going to end the way that one did here. But Velasco now on a bit of a comeback tour from the first race as well. There had a bit of a spin. Looks like he's now behind Jason Cotcher, hunting him down in the 777 car. Pretty much our closest battle on track at the moment. Jason Green pretty much running away with this one here. Found some pace by the looks of it out front there. Doesn't seem to be anybody who can test him quite yet. Like you're saying, Keelan Mikowitz, you would think after that first race maybe had a little bit more pace than him overall, but not either able to show it this time, or perhaps Jason Green was hiding a little something there in that first race. Now, Alex Velasco looking up. He's going to look on the outside of the captain. Is he going to get it done on the outside here? Very valiant effort, and he is going to get it done on the outside. Not an easy one to do into T1, and you do need a bit of a facilitated pass there from Jason Cotcher, who's going to try to come back and undercut here, I believe, into the next corner, but not going to quite have enough to do it. So great pass from Velasco there around the outside. Well done.
Yeah, absolutely well done by Velasco there. And now we got another car, and then in the form of Chris Wang there, running in 8th, is setting his sights on the captain as well, as the battles here in the second half of the top 10 are really starting to heat up. And looks like Crouch up at the front is starting to gain a little bit, up to 0.6 of a second now on Jason Green. So maybe that group is starting to tighten up at the front as we're on board here with a good battle. Once again with Chris Wang, only about 0.3 off of the back of Cotcher, but ran a little wide there coming out of that corner, turn 8, as we come down here into the turn 9 hairpin section and out, and good run here as you see, just nose to tail through here as Cotcher tightening that corner up, which is kind of what you have to do in that corner as we run our way through here 12 and down into 13 or 14, depending on how you count these corners out. And we're going to get the run down the front straight, and we're going to see if there's anything going to happen there. As we see Velasco with that look from the cockpit here, taking it down to the inside, just kind of being a little defensive there at the start. But obviously, you see the gain there from Chris Wang using the slipstream there, and it's really tightened it up now to the back of Jason Cotcher. Got a good run down into turn 1, and is doing a pretty good job of keeping it tight around that turn 3 corner, and is able to just close it ever so slightly further down as we're about almost 12 minutes into the race. So coming up to the halfway point here with Green, Couch, Mikovich, your top 3, Bali, Lopez, Velasco, 4th, 5th, and 6th, Cotcher, Wang, Burns, and Vela, your top 10. As Michelle Lynn now up to 11th, a little bit of a gap for Michelle there. Stephen Case has made his way up to P12, so he's on the comeback charge. But once again, he's got 2 seconds up to Michelle, and then another 2.5 seconds up to P10. So he's got some work yet to do. As Jason Green, you see here, keeping it pretty steady up there, about a half-second gap as we work our way down into the final corner. It's going to get a good run. I don't think there's going to be much of a chance for Crouch to make up any ground here. Matter of fact, I think Jason got a much better run out of the final corner.
Yeah, and that's really what this track is about, isn't it, Charles? It's sort of slow in, fast out. You want to make sure you get your exits correct everywhere, or it's going to be a problem for you for sure. And you got to do that every single lap. If Jason misses even one little exit here, Terry Crouch will be on him very quickly. And the same thing with Kalen Mikovits, and that's exactly what this track is like. You got to hit your marks. You got to get your exits just right, not lock them up. Especially into a corner like this one here, one of the kind of harder ones. Feels like it's a bit descending, a little off camber. Got to get it just right as the car's fighting itself to the outside, trying to keep it to the inside as much as you possibly can. Some side-by-side racing here with Tabor Burns and I believe Christopher Wang now going side-by-side. Enrique Vela just behind them as well. So that's going to be our pretty much closest battle on the track here. Tabor Burns looking to make up some time after that incident up front there, that unfortunate sort of took a little bit of space, should have been given there probably, and unfortunately now he's going to have to try to fight his way back up to the front, and it does look like he is slowly making his way up. Michelle Lynn, like you're mentioning as well, doing really good, almost inside the top 10 here today. Nice clean race. Stephen Case just behind her, also on the comeback tour out there. Yeah, it's been a fairly copacetic race here so far. I haven't seen too much chaos yet. There has been a little bit, but I think, like we were saying earlier, after season of racing together and being in this machinery here, just the level of driving has gone up a little bit. New paint job on Enrique Vela's car here as well.
Yep, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. The main core of the F3 drivers here have been racing together. This is the start of the 3rd season, and they've got a really, they got to know each other a bit more, and they know how each other race now. So we've got some additions that will factor in as we go. But for the core group, they've raced together now for once again the start of the 3rd season. So it's pretty, they know exactly what moves people are going to try and what moves they're not going to try. And they're going to be really respectful, and they're going to race each other cleanly, but they're going to race hard. As we see now, Terry Crouch starting to close the gap once again down to Jason Green as we hit the 15-minute mark of the race. 10 minutes left to go as we work our way through turn 6 and out through 7 and 8 here as we work our way back up the hill. Kind of deceptive, the amount of elevation here. It doesn't feel like there's a lot, but there's some corners that there absolutely is, and you feel a lot more when you're in the cockpit. As we see Crouch looking down to the inside there, just having a quick look, not really anything he's going to be able to do at that point. Green easily holds off the charge there from Crouch as they work their way down the final couple corners through 13 and 14. And we're going to work our way back around to that front straight. We'll see what kind of gap gets set here as we're at 2800s. And that did not help Crouch out as he went a little bit wide coming out of the final. But he's able to hang on to it. And even with not a lot of draft help, he did manage to close it down to 2/10. So, but once again, not enough to make a move there at the end of the front straight and down into turn 1. And so they'll reset and they'll try it all over again.
Absolutely. Terry Crouch now hunting down Jason Green.
Oh, no.
Kalen Mikowitz getting brought along with him here. Terry Crouch, we're actually going to look at a quick replay here. And oh, she's already lost her wing there somehow. And that's going to spin
There
mid-corner.
it is.
Stephen Case. So I believe that was Stephen Case actually jumping over the backside of Michelle Lynn. So not exactly sure what transpired there. Again, it looks like just getting a little bit caught out on the brakes, perhaps. Maybe a little bit of closing speed difference there and getting a little bit confused as to brakes and gas. Maybe a little bit more brake pressure for Michelle Lynn coming into this section than Stephen Case. And unfortunately, going to run into Michelle Lynn. And that is just really unfortunate for Michelle Lynn. A lot of anvils falling last season there. Not something we want to see. And we know a driver like Stephen Case would never do something like that on purpose and is a very good driver out there. So just an unfortunate incident there, perhaps maybe even down to some net code or something at the end of the day. It's always hard to tell from up in the booth here whether somebody's having a hardware issue or if a screen just blinked or gosh knows what. So we'll leave that one to the stewards at the end. But back up front here, Charles, Jason Green now under serious pressure from Terry Crouch. Kalen Mikowitz being brought along for this party. And if I was Kalen, I would be sitting there salivating right now, just going, yes, catch him, start fighting, please. And then you can catch up and maybe you get a chance to. And that's how, even if you're kind of down on a little bit of pace, you can end up in that top step on the podium, can't you, Charles?
You absolutely can. I'm sure that'll put a smile on Kalen's face if those guys go side by side through a couple of corners, because that means he'll be right up on their back bumper, their back wing in a hurry, as that gap will absolutely close down to nothing. But even with the fact that they're not necessarily fighting through the corners, he is still closing that gap down, and how he's well and truly in here for the fight, as he's now only 3/10 back from Crouch, and Crouch only 3/10 back from Jason Green. So we're going to have the last 7 minutes here is going to be a barn burner as these cars are getting closer and closer together. And I think that, Steven, just to kind of throw my 2 cents there, is Steven not necessarily used to running that far back in the pack. So maybe that's just a little lack of familiarity, even though Michelle has been running some races here with the league. Those two don't necessarily run together. I'm sure Michelle was just kind of keeping it wide to allow Steven to work through. He's already gained 2.5 seconds on her, just trying to track her down. And I think that's probably just a little bit of miscommunication. No harm intended. As well as we got wide there by Crouch, and he's going to get swept up by Mikowitz as Mikowitz takes over P2, and now looks forward again as Kalen Mikowitz now looks forward to see if he can track down Jason Green. Gap 3/10, so now it's going to be his shot with about 6 minutes left to see if he can take over that top step. The witching hour, exactly right.
Yeah, that's right. Our producer there in our ears. It is witching hour time for sure. Jason Green looking like a metronome at the moment, though. Doesn't look like he is shakeable at the moment. All kinds of stuff happening behind him, but I have not seen him put a foot wrong yet. And as long as he can continue to do that, he's got a darn good chance, even if they do have a little bit more pace than him. And we know that's kind of how Jason Green races, isn't it? He goes out there and plugs laps in. He doesn't get caught up in drama, and he just does his thing. And he ends up getting good results most of the time because of it. There's looking in the background, Kalen Mikowitz through that, what I would call a bit of a claustrophobic section there as you're coming through it, trying as hard as you can to just maximize the speed, but not totally smack that sleeping policeman there, the really long one that can destroy your exit. That's so important, as most of the corners around here are. But Kalen Mikowitz able actually to get around Terry Crouch through that moment there. He did actually go off track on exit and lost a bit of time there. So we'll see what these two can do, but I think Jason Green has a pretty darn good chance with just under 5 minutes left now, and those two continuing to squabble back here now with Alex Velasco and Traber Burns, who's been able to get around him, still on the comeback tour.
Still on the comeback tour as we have this battle between Traber Burns, Alex Velasco. Enrique Vela still kind of hanging in there, running in 8th, but about 1.1 back. Still that 3-car battle up front as we come down to the final 4 minutes. So we're going to be not quite flagged next time. So maybe 2 to go. We get back to the line as Mikowitz now setting his sights forward, trying to track down Jason Green once again, as looks like we may be getting some lap traffic here as I'm just kind of looking at my track
yeah, you're
map.
right.
And so we may be seeing some lap traffic cars showing up here on the screen here pretty soon, but we'll keep an eye out. I'm just with anytime there's new graphics in iRacing, you use them with a grain of salt. You don't necessarily know. Yeah. So we'll see what happens as we go there, and it could be me not reading the numbers right. Either way, so as we come down, you see Mikovits set the fastest lap of the race last lap, but only 800s faster than Jason Green. So it was the fastest lap of the race, but it wasn't just a leaps and bounds ahead of the other cars. As we're coming around here back to the 13-14 complex, and then around back to the start-finish line. And we're going to be 2 to go this time by, as we have about 3 minutes left on the clock. We got Diego Posada now with a meatball flag, so he is losing time hand over fist now as he's dropping down the order. Skylar Vickroy now up to P13, so he's picked up a few positions, but obviously I'm sure he and Stephen Case and others are probably not happy about their finishing results tonight, as we just see just a little deep there. And I think he decided he was going to hit the wall, and maybe he laid on the brakes a little too hard. Either that, or just didn't think he was going to make it over that curb, which would have sent his car skyward. So
big lockup.
Yeah, big lockup of the brakes to be sure, and managed to make a little contact, but not terrible, but enough to meatball the car. So it's going to come in. I think he can actually make it without. So if his car is still drivable, even with a kind of a broken front wing, if he's still got a little bit of downforce on that front end, he can finish the race with the meatball flag. But I think he's come into the pits now, so he's going to come in and get the car repaired, get back out, and salvage a position maybe if he can. As we're back up to the front here, Kayla Mikovits, second place, just behind Jason Green as we come down to 1 to go. Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. Just when we came back to pictures there, looked like maybe Jason Green had a moment just before we got back there. And I'm not sure if that's, maybe there was a bit of dirt on the ground. He looked a little out of place, so maybe it's just my brain playing tricks on me. But it does look like Kayla Mikovits has made up a little bit of time now. Also peeped him lock up an inside tire just after that as well. And it's looking like he's definitely got the pace. I think I know what's going on here. And I think Kayla Mikovits is kind of biding his time a little bit at this stage. So he's not going to show all his cards quite yet. And that's exactly what I would do here, especially with somebody like Jason Green. If you show him, he's going to get you by the end. So you want to maybe wait here until, the wee hours, which are coming up, real soon here. You got to time it just right and use that draft, get around him, but don't allow him to have any recourse to that move. And I think that's probably what Mikovits is looking for out there.
Yep, I think you're absolutely right, and it's going to be that run down the back stretch into that hairpin corner.
Oh, another big lockup.
Where the move made, as we start to see a little bit of lockup now, as those tires are starting to fade on these cars, as we're down to the last lap here, and coming up on the 25-minute mark, as we've got Jason Green out front with Mikovits in second. As we work our way down through turn 8, and they'll come down to the hairpin corner, and not close enough there by Mikovits, and he's going to look, kind of took a peek to the inside there. Green ran a little wide as they worked their way out of 10 into 11, and pretty steady as she goes there, coming down into turns 13 and 14. And this will be a run back to the front straight. It's going to come up to the line pretty quick, so I don't know that he's going to be able to do it. And then into the gravel, and he is going to finish second. But Jason Green is going to get your race victory over Kayla Mikovits. Terry Crouch finishes in third. Varun Bali finishing in fourth. Traver Burns manages to get back up to P5, so great race there by Burns. Adrian Lopez in sixth. Enrique Vela seventh. Alex Velasco finishing in eighth. Chris Wayne, 9th, and the captain, Jason Cotcher, finishes in 10th.
Yeah, that was some great shots there at the end. We saw that battle between Jason Green and Kayla Mikovits there at the end. Kayla definitely pushing it there on the brakes, locked up that front tire a couple times, probably ended any chance he had after that really big lockup. Their car's never going to handle quite as good as it could after a lockup like that. But Awesome race up at the front. We're seeing some new faces and some new speed out there, some newfound talent all throughout the field. To be honest, it's been a pretty interesting evening. I'm not really sure who is going to be where going forward here for the whole season. It looks like we might have a bit of a mix-up at the front, and definitely that storyline of Stephen Case just walking away with every race. Well, shot some holes in it tonight for sure, Charles.
Yeah, absolutely. He did have he did win the heat race, but it was much closer than some of the races I've seen before. Kalen Mikovich did a great job in the heat race to keep it within around a half second or so. We've got Terry Crouch and Trevor Burns, very, very good opening rounds here tonight. Jason Green, good to see Jason get a win. Just a very methodical, great, level-headed driver, and did exactly what he needed to do to get this victory. So we're going to get lined up here for our podium photo here as we've got our top two. Waiting on Terry Crouch, who has already left the server. I think he missed the memo. So Terry, when you finish on the podium, you got to come back around for the for the photo session.
Do donuts for us, man.
And so we'll have to get on to Terry about that. But he'll figure it out, and I'm sure there'll be other opportunities for him to get in the photo lineup here, as we've got our top two of Green and Mikovits. And now let's get some donuts going here as Jason's going to line them up. There we go. Into the gravel, into the grass, almost into the wall, and just missing the wall. And not the widest part of the track to try and do this, but looks like Jason's getting that.
There he goes.
Yeah.
Yep, you got her all handled down now. You see the differential just diffing out in the grass there. Super hard to do. And you know, Terry Crouch actually new to the SRG group here, and you know, I mean, I believe he took a win or two actually over an F4, but hasn't won yet in F3, so he doesn't know the protocols yet. But huge congratulations to Jason Green, our feature winner there for sure, showing again just amazing consistency as well as speed out there, holding on to it. Didn't put a foot wrong. You can see behind him tires locking up and people missing things. Jason Green didn't put one foot wrong. Kalen Mikowitz is going to finish in second place just behind him. Then Terry Crouch, Varun Bali after that. Trevor Burns on a awesome comeback drive there for sure after that unfortunate incident. Maybe should have left a little more room, but he can have a look at that one later maybe. Don't think the stewards will have anything to say about that. Adrian Lopez will be sixth place. Enrique Vela in seventh. Alex Velasco doing a good one actually here in the second one after that spin in the first race. Chris Wang will be in ninth, and Captain Cotcher in 10th. I'll let you take it from there, Charles.
Yeah, Jose Navas finishes in 11th. Thomas Brashear in 12th. Skylar Vickroy 13th. Tyrone De Silva in P14. 15th is Nathan Perkins. Adam Duvall finishes in 16th. Diego Posada 17th. Kenan Miller finishes in 18th. Michelle Lynn in 19th. Colquhoun Dillon finishes in 20th. And Stephen Case finishes in P21, obviously due to contact and damage to the car. On a couple of occasions there in the feature did not make it to the end. And Josh, we've got some guys in the waiting room waiting for some interviews. So if you want to pick one, pick a driver, any driver, bring them in. We'll have some conversations with them here as we wrap up tonight.
Yeah, maybe I'll bring. I believe it was Adrian Lopez finished in sixth place tonight. Let's bring him down first here. Adrian, what an awesome night there. First round, you're able to get out there and get a pretty good finish in sixth place with the new livery, by the way, looking beauty. I actually ended up using you on the thumbnail there. You went and changed the color on me, which I really like, by the way. It looks awesome. But yeah, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about tonight's race, how it went for you.
You know, had to keep things a little fresh. Tonight was minimal practice, a very buggy PC, buggy information on my engineering screen keep blanking out. Very distracting. I was really fighting it mentally to put a performance on, but you know, somehow things worked. Six. I would like to have been right behind my teammate. I was trying to hold on for the longest time, but just had a slight little whoops on the last turn and let Trevor go by pretty easily.
Yeah, and Trevor Burns on the comeback tour there from an early spin, so definitely applying the pressure I would imagine, on you too. And that new livery in the gold, looking pretty gorgeous, by the way, too. They both look real nice. Very, very nice liveries on the cars, as always. But we got a pretty interesting schedule coming up this season. A lot of power tracks kind of early on here. Maybe not like Catalunya, but wide and powerful, and lots of passing opportunity and stuff. Are you looking forward to those? Or are you more kind of salivating for the Adelaides, the Zandvoorts, Barbers of this season later on?
Ironically, I like the more wide sweeping tracks. I like the S's. I can take S's in a weird way that can kind of benefit me, especially with tire deg. But for some reason, I've been doing better in the tighter courses lately. So at this point, who knows? As long as I'm putting on the show and catching them tail slides and not going into the wall, then I'm happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And this track being we were talking in the run up and during the lap guide a little bit, that you really do have to be very precise around here. And I have a little bit of difficulty, sorry, myself sometimes with these big wide power tracks, to really be able to find and extract that last few tenths that some people maybe find a little bit more naturally. I'm a little bit better at the tighter courses, but it's interesting to hear you kind of like the more sweeping stuff there, but starting to kind of grab the other ones too. So it should be a pretty interesting season for you there. Before we let you go, though, Adrian, is there anybody you would like to thank?
Yeah, well, thanks for Jason during the heat race and part of the main race in the beginning there. We were kind of getting at it. Kind of got a little annoyed that I wasn't able to pass him quickly and having to fight for it and seeing his moves and seeing his mistakes, but seeing his defense and kept it super clean. He usually lets me go by in the past. I've told him, listen, you can't do that anymore. And now he's fine. He's like, you know what? Okay,
Right
gloves
on.
off, and
Mhm.
he's fine. And I'm seeing it. So super respect for racing. I love it. It's good that he does what he preaches as well. For the group with the kind of racing that we do. So shout out to Jason for that.
Excellent, man. Right on. Great shout out there for sure. And yeah, we caught a little bit of that on the broadcast, I believe, as well. So pretty cool stuff, man. We will catch you on the next round. Good result tonight, man.
Yep. Thank you, Bob.
Right on. And that was Adrian Lopez. I believe we do have a few more drivers up here, Charles. Christopher Wang and Tabor Burns there from that big comeback tour. Which one would you like to speak to?
I think I'm going to bring Traber in and have a conversation with him. So let's bring Traber down to the broadcast booth. Traber, P5 tonight in the feature race. A little bit of skirmish with Crouch there in the early going, sent you back a little deeper in the field, but great recovery drive there to get back up to fifth.
Thanks. Yeah, it was, unfortunately, the recovery drive was just proof of the speed I had tonight. And yeah, I kept my rear tires on really well. And the gap, uh, I believe I lost 10 seconds that lap. And I think the gap to second place was about 10 seconds or something like that. So yeah, it's nice to have that pace, but unfortunately couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah, and so obviously I'm not gonna have all the knowledge because I'm filling in tonight, and this is my first race back with SRG for a while. So is this your first round in F3, or were you here during last season also?
No, I was on and off during last season as well.
Okay. All right. So still getting a little familiar. Obviously, you had some experience racing with these guys. But obviously not a full season in, so now that we're into season 3 and you've had a few races on your belt, how are you feeling about the competition, and how are you feeling about obviously the mistake notwithstanding your performance tonight?
The competition's great. This is by far one of the best leagues that I've ever been in. Especially this season. I think I was in F4 in season 1, and then did a couple F3 races that season as well. Anyway, I've raced a few of these guys, and it seems like every race there's always at least one or two guys that just completely match my pace, and it's a fantastic battle all the way through. So yeah, I love racing with these guys. This is my first time racing Terry, and it just seems like a racing incident deal.
Yeah.
I didn't want to back down because I knew as soon as I did, it was probably with how tight the competition was, it was probably game over to Jason Green, and I'm not able to make a full season, so really I'm just here to win.
Yeah. So next week, a little bit of a track with a different profile. We go to Red Bull Ring for our second round, and obviously a little bit of a different skill set involved in that. Obviously, it's going to be more about maybe more about getting good drafts and getting into braking zones and being able to work those brakes a little better.
Yeah, it's a shame because that's typically the kind of track that I'm pretty good at, but I will not be there next week.
Oh, that's too bad. So yeah, just we were talking about it during the warm up period. Pretty nice schedule. Got some. We've got a not just Red Bull, but we've got a whole host of some big fast tracks coming up on the schedule to go along with some street courses and some tighter road circuits. So what do you think that what do you think your strength is going to be as we get out during the season?
I feel like my strength is on both ends of the spectrum, right? We got the tracks where you get a lot of overtaking, like your Maunzas, your Red Bull rings. I feel like I'm pretty good at playing it smart during those ones. And at the same time, I felt like my best races where I was able to match Stephen Case was kind of the tighter circuits. I think the best one that I had was Hockenheim Ring, which has quite a bit of lower speed corners. So.
Mhm.
Yeah, this track is kind of right in the middle, which isn't really in my wheelhouse, but yeah, we'll see.
Cool.
It's always
All
a
right.
good race against these guys.
Absolutely. Trebert, congratulations again on your comeback into P5, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week or the next time you're on track. Not next week, but the next time you're on track.
That's correct. Not sure when that will be, but I look forward to it.
All right. Thank you very much for stopping in. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
And that was Trevor Barnes, P5 tonight. Nice little comeback drive. And Josh, one more to go. We got Christopher Wang in the waiting room.
Yeah, let me grab him here. I believe Christopher Wang able to get inside the top 10 tonight with a P9. Had to fight pretty hard a few times there and definitely chasing a pack of cars in front of you there. How was that for you out there tonight?
Hello. Happy Wednesday, everyone. It felt tough at times for sure. The race, I feel like in general, this happens with me at a couple tracks where it just so happens that my weakest corners are also the most important corners on the track. And I felt like the two corners right before the long straights were kind of some of my tougher ones to keep speed up in. So lost out on some speed and some positions there, but got the chance to do some dueling back and forth with the captain, Jason Cotcher, and got to get past him, which I was really happy about. And at that point, kind of smooth sailing on the way to the end. A couple close calls, at least in how I felt in the car. But yeah, I'm glad I got to pull in the top 10 in the end.
Yeah, so you kind of nailed it around here as well. There's a couple corners around here that you absolutely just have to sort of have the exit and entry speed for, and you have to have them just dialed, or you just kind of bleed time every lap. And I know exactly how that feels around here until you can kind of find out the little tricks to them. And it's one of those things where there is just kind of a little trick to it. Once you get it, you can keep that speed. But had some really good battles there for sure tonight. There is going to be a lot more tracks similar to this one. Wouldn't say the same, but a lot of kind of wide power tracks, FIA approved, sort of F1 historic tracks coming up soon. And then, by about mid-season, we start hitting Adelaide, Algarve, maybe Barber. Are you looking forward more to those kind of technical sort of one-off type tracks, or are these ones a little bit more your style?
I tend to have more fun at tracks like these, but I tend to do better at the technical track.
Interesting. Yeah, so a little bit better, a bit of a technician then.
Regardless.
Yeah, looking forward to all of them then at the end of the season. We'll definitely be looking out for that then. If these ones you like, but you're better at those ones, I definitely like my technical tracks as well. Find a little bit more frustration in these big ones trying to find the line out there sometimes, unless I have somebody to show me where it is. But great result tonight in the top 10 there. Is there anybody you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I want to shout out some of the people I was racing around today. Shout out to Treber and Enrique and Jason and all the other people on track that help make it together and make it such a great time. I have run a couple officials around here as well, and the officials are, you know, a whole different beast, and typically in not the great way. So I'm super glad I found this community, Sim Racers group, and glad I still get to be a part of it and race in these series. And appreciate you guys as well for putting on the show. I always love watching the F4s and F3 broadcasts and see what was happening up and down the grid.
Awesome. Thanks for the kind words there, Chris. And yeah, definitely parrot those. Great league. Awesome camaraderie around there. And you guys are just getting better out there. So it's been pretty awesome to watch and see. We'll catch you next week.
All right, have a good one, guys.
You too. Right on. And that was Christopher Wang. I think that pretty much wraps us up here, Charles, for the night. Maybe I'll let you do some final words, upcoming shows there, I think, as well, and we'll move on.
Yeah, well, you know, let's look at our upcoming broadcast because hey, it's the new season's here, which means we're full of it. As we like to say, we've got our new racing schedule coming back online. Obviously, we've got the new Weekend Warrior Summer Series coming up on Sunday. We've got the return soon of XSLR. We've got who am I thinking about? XMS coming up as well. A new series, Street Nights Racing, coming up next week also. And then, of course, the SRG, the F4, and the F3, and the American Muscle Series. So you see them on your screen. We've got some upcoming races. We're back to full power here for the summer, pretty much. And just a whole host of activity coming up here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And Josh, as we talk about this, our first week is done. Next week, we'll be back to the Red Bull Ring, and it'll be our normal broadcaster, Mr. Racing Ron Maunz himself, along with himself and Mike Braun. But Red Bull Ring, completely kind of different than what this is. This is like that's more like we're going to a drag racing and doing like I don't know. It is a completely different animal compared to what we had to deal with tonight.
For sure. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. It is pretty point and shoot around there for sure, and big, heavy braking zones and so on. Where, well, let's just be honest, we've seen a lot of chaos in every series, pretty much that we cover at Red Bull Ring. I have faith in these guys that next week they'll be able to put it together for us for sure. But it should be an interesting one either way. And thanks for helping us out tonight, Charles. Good stuff.
Happy to do it. Happy to fill in. And that's going to do it for tonight. We'll see you again next week. Same time, same channel here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Once again, along with Josh Wilkie and Mike Braun, I am Charles Beauchelle. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week here with the Sim Racers Group F3 Series on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Take care. Be nice.
Bye.